Another day, another dollar, and another woke activist in the gaming industry that hates not just you, but me, your neighbor, and every other straight white male or any kind of male in general that plays video games. So, here's an article from SmashJT.com talking about CD Projekt Red. There's a designer, and the title right here you can see says, Designer hates you, states he wants to punch gamers. How many times have we heard people threatening to fight us physically? Bitch. Well, this is another example. We can see that right here. He says it's quickly turning into the most anti-gamer establishment out there. CD Projekt Red hires people with disdain, the very audience they're meant to be making the games for in the first place. And this is everywhere. Ubisoft, CD Projekt Red, Firewalk Studios, Warner Brother Games. It's all activists. And then almost 9 times out of 10, when you look up the voice actor or the voice actress for the lead character, activists. It's all activists, guys. So apparently NeoGAF compiled all the details on this individual. This is Cian Maher, who's the franchise and lore designer at CD Projekt Red. And they're also a former journalist. We use that term loosely because there's no such thing as a gaming journalist at this point. They're all cosplaying. They're really activists, or as I like to call whacktivists. They worked for the Gamer among a slew of other outlets. And Smash says from what they could tell, they have no discernible actual video game development skills or talent, but instead a well-documented history of outwardly expressing hatred and hostility towards gamers, going so far as to say he'd like to punch them. So, again, it's almost like an assembly line of woke retards. We've seen this time and time again. They hate gamers, but for some reason they work in the gaming industry. Can somebody please make that make sense for once in our time? This year of our Lord, can somebody make it make sense why you would work in an industry where you hate the consumer for the product that you make? Somebody explain it. Anyways, here's Cian Maher, and I guess this is his LinkedIn or something of that sort. You can see he's had his work published in quite a bit of things. He's from Dublin, Ireland. No offense, Ireland people, but activists from there, SJWs from there, y'all are next fucking level, and y'all all look the fucking same. Well, it says it's the latest in a troubling pattern for CD Projekt Red, following the addition of Mary Kenny, who's openly advocated for pushing specific agendas in video games, with her infamous line pushing LGBTQ propaganda into gaming, stating on DualShockers, there are so many LGBTQ developers and we want what players want, to design experiences that tell the player we're here, we're important, and we belong. We need to pull every lever we have. So we covered this, actually. I believe this was quite about maybe a year ago, maybe a little under a year, like 9 months. We covered this, and they're all like this. I don't know why. Why do they choose gaming? And I know it's because gaming's for everyone. There's a lot of people that play video games, but nobody wants to be preached to. Nobody wants to be lectured to. And it all backfires. People do not like activism. Just make great games that are entertaining, games that have a great story, good mechanics, great characters, but it's alienating. In fact, you can see Smash says Kenny's activism-focused approach to storytelling alienated a lot of former fans, and her hiring drew criticism for prioritizing an ideological alignment over skill and respect for the very audience she had been tasked to make games for in the first place. Again, they all alienate their audience, and why? That's why people aren't turning out to play these games anymore. They're seeing what these people are putting on Twitter. They're seeing what these people are posting on Blue Sky. They're seeing what they're posting on any kind of social media platform. You look, almost 9 times out of 10, somebody that's in a video game company is an activist that's putting stupid shit out there that alienates the fans. That makes us feel like, you know what? We're going to vote for our wallet. And then when we do that, when the game ultimately fails, they blame gamers for it. They don't ever blame their stupid ideologies. They don't blame any of their woke agenda. They say, oh, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. And then they try to shut you down. They try to silence you and say that you're not allowed to give your opinion on it or anything, because it's not in the hive mind. It's simple to how it works, all right? It's almost retarded to a point how these people think. Continuing on, Smash says, this is no accident. Game companies do extensive background checks on employees they're bringing in to create the very culture to exist there. they're not even bothering to try to hide it anymore. And that I was actually speculating that. Um, you have people that are woke that are hiring. You have people that are woke that are casting roles for actors and actresses. You have people that are hiring developers. They're all woke. They're going to look for people that think the same because they need that toxic, positive, woke work environment. They can't have anybody that's outside the hive chamber because then they'll be a free thinker and they'll be rubbing up against people offensively and they can't have that. You have to be politically correct, right? Now, here we go. This talks about Maher. Uh, says his career began in games journalism, and we all know the type by now, where he worked as an associate editor and eventually lead features editor at thegamer.com. And yeah, the Gamer is pretty fucking woke, guys. Like that's a contender after Kotaku and a couple other websites. But here's his work experience. You can see he's had quite a bit. Apparently, during his tenure there, and even after being hired by Projekt Red, he's repeatedly made inflammatory comments and statements about gamers. So in July 2022, he shared this Bernie meme saying, "I am once again asking for you to stop being toxic little weirdos." And again, we've seen people say that they want to purge gamers, that gamers are the worst thing to happen, things like this. Why are you in the industry if you hate gamers this much? Is what I can't comprehend or understand. Going on, it says in June 2021, he mocked gamers, writing, "Law school being easier than dealing with gamers, says everything anyone needs to know about this gig." And that's in response to saying someone, "I am quite unknown, but I ran away to law school because it was easier than dealing with gamers." These guys are snowflakes, by the way. They think anybody that complains about a video game that has woke messaging in it, or complains about a female protag, or any kind of weird messaging or SJW activism, that gamers are bad and they're toxic and this and that. Like, grow a fucking set. None of you people would have survived like in the 360 era playing Call of Duty or, you know, early days of Halo, right? You guys are fucking weak and soft. January 2020, here's where he says he desires to punch gamers. So Ty Galiz Rose says, "In 2020, I want muscles so I can effectively punch gamers, and also so I can carry cute people and dogs of any size easily." And Cian says, "I didn't realize this until this tweet, but this is now also what I want." Christina says, "You want to punch gamers or you want CG to punch you?" And Cian says, "Me and Caitlin will punch gamers together." So they always threaten violence. That's the funny thing, but then they fold behind protected tweets. They fold behind reporting accounts, getting people deplatformed, suspending, "fight me physically, bitch" type of stuff, and then they don't show up for it. Right? They're all cowards. And then when they do violence, it's always mental illness, like you've seen lately with, you know, LGBTQ members attempting to use weapons and go to people's doors and stuff like that. Here's December 2020. Here's a post where they say, "The thing I find funny about gamers complaining about how good games journalists have it is like, if you think this job is so incredibly well paid, it's not, and easy, it's not. Why don't you just do it yourself?" So, I mean, that's exactly what running a YouTube channel is, doing it yourself. And they don't like that because we're not Access Media, and they try to throw that in our face. "Oh, you don't matter. You don't have access. You're not Access Media. You're not even a real journalist," and blah, blah. But they want to say, "Oh, if you hate games so much, why don't you make your own? Why don't you develop your own game? Oh, if you hate journalism, why don't you do it yourself?" These people always move the fucking goalpost, and they try to invalidate your opinion. They try to invalidate your free speech by doing and saying that. And that's not how debate or discussion or arguments work, all right? These guys just can't take that other people think differently than them. That's what it is at the end of the fucking day. So yeah, he goes on to say these are just a few examples of his open disdain for gamers. His track record of providing hateful content to the very people consuming the products he works on is quite extensive, to say the least. And that's what I say, like, why? Why do you go after the consumer, the majority of the consumer, for what you're working for, right? So apparently here's a very good video covering everything about it above. I'm not going to click and watch it, but if you go to Smash's article, you'll have it. Says if you want to deep dive just how awful of a scumbag this dude really is, yet through it all, he's only been rewarded with a position where he's responsible for shaping the lore of one of gaming's most beloved franchises. So yeah, he's working on Witcher. Apparently, he's defended, despite being a lore designer, he's defended adaptations like Netflix's The Witcher, which is garbage, Amazon's Ring of Power, which is garbage, and they all break lore. So how's this guy a lore expert, right? And Smash says, someone make it make sense. Please, I'm freaking begging you. And yeah, here's some more tweets. He's lashed out at fans, apparently, accusing them of pretending your vitriol and bigotry have value. So it's all this virtue signaling bullcrap where they're full of venom, they're full of hatred themselves. They have to act like they're just so holier than thou. They try to invalidate opinions. You can see all it really does is make them look unhinged. You see, it says fans obsessed with accuracy are so fucking weird. Yeah, accuracy matters with source material, like stuff like Lord of the Rings, right? It actually does matter. Nobody cares about this adaptation. They really don't. Why do you care about any adaptation then? The only reason you're upset about Rings of Power is because critiquing it allows you to pretend your vitriol and bigotry have value. Which is a way of saying, please don't say anything bad about my stuff. If you don't like it, don't say anything. Like, that's fucking snowflake shit. That's snowflake shit. Says what also is funny is that most of the loudest fans online constantly telling themselves, you read the books, yeah? Cool. So you know Sam has dark skin. How accurate was it to cast Sean Astin then? What's that? Speak up, please. I can't hear you. Where are you going, right? And then stuff about Netflix's Witcher claiming the criticism of the show's disrespect lore was lazy, right? It's crystal clear they love and respect Sapkowski's books. That is lazy criticism, right? I don't know, dude. I think it's fucking weird when people get this bent out of shape over opinion. To a point where you're saying that when people say Netflix writers don't respect the lore, it's annoying. Like, you're just being contrarian just to be contrarian. Half the time, I don't even think these people really care about what they're defending, if I'm being honest. And this guy's tasked with overseeing franchises like Witcher and other games for CD Projekt Red. He don't give a shit about lore. If he's defending Rings of Power and the Netflix Witcher adaptation, he don't care about lore, guys. He don't give a fuck about accuracy. He literally says he doesn't care about accuracy. So why is he a lore expert? Why is this clown a fucking lore expert? Now, Smash goes on to say Maher's disdain for gamers is not limited to a few isolated tweets. He's consistently defended DEI, what a surprise, hiring practices, going so far as to claim that anyone questioning these policies is shitty and untalented. I don't know what that blur is. But yeah, if you can't get a job because you're straight and white, I'm sorry, you can't get a job because you're shy. Okay, so shy, he spelt it like an Irish guy. So unfriendly reminder that anyone who responds to calls for diversity with how is this fair, hiring should be based on skill, usually has no skill. That's a terrible fucking take. So this guy obviously probably agrees with what Obsidian Studios is doing with the whole thought of there's too many crusty white dudes, right? It should be the best hire, regardless of what race, gender, any of that. It should be who's the most qualified. And he goes on to just be anti-white. If you claim you can't get a job because you're straight and white, I'm sorry, you can't get a job because you're shit. Like, these guys are deranged. People would rather be bigoted and blame the fact they're straight white men on their inability to get a job than, the fact that they're not quite as good a writer as they'd like to think, which ironically is a byproduct of unfounded straight white man confidence. Again, that's ultimately what it always is they're deranged against white people. And they're white themselves. He's fucking Irish. Going on, I'm a straight white man. I mean, he even says it. The very thing he is, he hates. I think that's projection. I think a lot of this comes from, like, childhood trauma from their upbringing. I think they're very confused, mentally ill human beings. I'm straight white man. I've never been unfairly considered for a job, but I've definitely benefited from my privilege, particularly when it comes to confidence. The people who lambast diversity efforts are just looking for ways To excuse their lack of talent, simple as. Oh, okay, that's what it is. Lack of talent, just because you're white. I also stress that diversity is absolutely essential to hiring in editorial today. How can you claim to accurately or meaningfully cover anything if your team's just a bunch of dudes who all look the same having beers in the office? So again, that's that whole white trash trailer park. All white guys do is just get drunk. He's literally in Ireland. That's a stereotype of Irish people. Hiring diversity, right? He talks about it. Saying you just can't hire one person and call it a day. Outlets categorically need people from all different backgrounds and cultures if they want any chance of offering worthwhile commentary on the zeitgeist. I mean, yeah, okay, in theory, but to be discriminatory just because somebody's white or straight, and then to put like all these woke agendas and ideologies and clearly actual racist discriminatory stuff with your hiring processes just to fill in DEI checkboxes, that's the fucking problem. These guys don't care about true diversity. They're just being activists that are the real hateful people. That's ultimately what it is. And why is the gaming industry like this? Why? That's what I want to know. Smash says the rhetoric reveals Maher's contempt for anyone who doesn't align with his particular ideological views, ironically once again attacking the very gaming community he's supposed to serve. So yeah, they hate gamers. So what do you guys think about this latest nut job? I mean, look at him. Looks like a fucking soy boy if I've ever seen one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. Hit that subscription button if you haven't yet. I'd love for you guys to join the nation. We're almost at 94,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you on the next video.